The silence lasted only a second. Then chaos erupted. Alina's suitcase slipped from her fingers and hit the floor. Massimo's jaw tightened. He what? The informant's voice crackled through the phone. Bellini put a contract on her. Every hunter, every mercenary, every freelance killer in northern Italy knows her face by now. Massimo felt ice flood his veins. When? Less than an hour ago. The line went dead. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Massimo turned toward Alina. We have to go. Alina stared at him. No. Massimo blinked. No. I'm still leaving. His patience snapped. Did you not hear what I just heard? I heard it. Someone wants you dead. She laughed. A bitter, broken laugh. Good. The word hit him like a slap. Alina, maybe they should kill me. Her eyes glistened. At least then I can see my father again. The pain in her voice made something twist inside his chest. But before he could respond, a sharp crack exploded outside. Boom! The front gate erupted in sparks. Everyone flinched. Another gunshot followed, then another. Massimo's security men immediately drew their weapons. Sniper! The shout echoed across the property. Alina froze. Massimo grabbed her arm. Inside, now. She tried pulling away. Let go of me. Another bullet smashed through one of the mansion windows. Glass exploded across the marble floor. This time Alina screamed. Massimo dragged her behind a pillar. More shots followed. Pop, pop, pop. Professional, precise, not random gunfire. An execution team. Bellini had moved faster than anyone expected. Get her out the back, Massimo roared. His men immediately formed a protective shield. The mansion had become a battlefield in less than 30 seconds. And suddenly, Alina understood. The danger was real, very real. 5 minutes later, they were racing down a mountain road. Rain hammered the windshield. The black SUV sped through the darkness. Massimo sat beside her, silent, tense, bleeding. A shard of glass had sliced his forehead during the attack. Blood ran down his temple. Alina noticed. She looked away immediately. She didn't care. She shouldn't care. This man had destroyed her life. Yet somehow, her stomach twisted every time she saw the blood. Where are we going? Massimo didn't answer immediately. Somewhere Bellini won't find us. Us. His gaze remained fixed on the road. You are not leaving my sight. The old anger returned instantly. I don't belong to you. His expression darkened. I know. The answer surprised her, because months ago he would have argued, months ago he would have ordered, months ago he would have treated her like property. Now he simply looked tired, dangerously tired. 3 hours later, they arrived. The cabin sat deep in the mountains, hidden among towering pine trees. No neighbors, no roads, no lights, just darkness and silence. The kind of silence that felt almost unnatural. Massimo exited first. His men unloaded supplies. Food, medical kits, weapons. Enough to survive for weeks. One by one the guards left, until eventually only Massimo and Alina remained. Alone. For the first time since their marriage. Truly alone. The realization unsettled both of them. Alina stood near the fireplace. Massimo stood across the room. Neither spoke. The distance between them felt larger than the cabin itself. Finally, Alina broke the silence. Why? Massimo looked up. Why what? Why save me? The question hung heavily in the air. He could have lied. Could have said duty, honor, responsibility. Instead, he answered honestly. Because I killed our child. The words shattered the room. Alina stopped breathing. Massimo's voice remained low, steady, painfully calm. I didn't hold the knife. He swallowed. I didn't pull a trigger. His eyes met hers. But I did it. Silence. You locked me away. His voice cracked slightly. You starved. Another pause. You suffered. He looked down. And our baby paid the price. Alina's eyes filled with tears. Immediately she hated herself for it. Because she didn't want his guilt, didn't want his regret, didn't want anything from him. She wanted her baby back. And that was the one thing he could never give her. That night, neither slept. The storm outside worsened. Wind rattled the windows, rain hammered the roof. Near midnight, Massimo's phone vibrated. A message from one of his investigators. He opened it, read it, then went completely still. Alina noticed. "What is it?" No answer. "What happened?" Slowly, Massimo handed her the phone. She looked down and froze. A photograph stared back at her. Vittorio Bellini, standing beside Antonio Russo. Her father. The image was over 10 years old. Both men were smiling. Friends, business partners, trusted allies. Alina felt sick. "What is this?" Massimo's face hardened. "The beginning." The more it looks like Bellini, looked at him. "What do you mean?" Massimo took a slow breath. "The deeper we dig," his voice turned cold. "They didn't just kill Sophia." A terrible feeling spread through the room. Massimo continued. "I think he destroyed both our families." Silence. Heavy. Terrifying. Because suddenly the story was becoming much bigger than revenge. Much bigger than Sophia. Much bigger than Antonio Russo. Someone had been pulling strings for years, and neither of them knew why. Around 2 in the morning, the cabin lost power. Everything went dark. The lights died. The heater stopped. Only the storm remained. Alina stiffened. "What happened?" Massimo was already moving, instinct taking over. His hand reached for a pistol. The generator should have kicked in. It didn't. "I know." The darkness felt wrong. Too quiet. Too deliberate. Massimo slowly approached the window. Then he saw it. A shadow, moving between the trees. Another. Then another. His blood turned cold. They had been found. Already. Impossible. But they had. "Alina." His voice was deadly serious. "Get down." Her heart stopped. "What?" "Now!" The window exploded inward. Crash! Glass flew everywhere. A sniper round tore through the room. Alina screamed. Massimo lunged forward, throwing himself over her body. Another shot shattered the wall behind them. Then another. And another. Gunfire erupted outside the cabin. The assassins had arrived. And this time, they weren't leaving until one of them was dead. The first bullet missed Alina's head by inches. The second shattered the lamp behind them. The third embedded itself deep into the wooden floor. Massimo wrapped an arm around her waist and dragged her across the cabin floor. "Move!" The roar of gunfire swallowed his voice. Alina's heart hammered violently. Glass rained everywhere. The darkness made everything worse. She couldn't see, couldn't think, couldn't breathe. Only one thing felt real. Massimo's hand gripping hers, pulling her, protecting her. The Sami hand that had Onse locked her away. The Sami hand that had seen orders she still had nightmares about. The contradiction made her sick. Outside, shadows moved between the trees. Professional killers. At least 6, maybe more. Massimo counted muzzle flashes. 1, 3, 5, 7. His stomach tightened. Too many. Far too many. Bellini wasn't taking chances. A bullet tore through the wall. Wood exploded across the room. Alina cried out. Massimo immediately shoved her behind a stone fireplace. "Stay here." "No." He looked at her, and for a second she saw something she had never seen before. Fear, not for himself, for her. "If they get inside," he said quietly, "don't hesitate." He placed a pistol in her trembling hands. Alina stared at it, then at him. "I don't know how to use this." "You point." Another explosion rocked the cabin. "You pull the trigger." Then he was gone. Massimo moved through the darkness like a ghost. Years of violence had taught him exactly how to survive moments like this. One assassin kicked open the rear door. The man barely stepped inside before Massimo struck. Crack! The attack was brutal, fast, efficient. The assassin collapsed instantly. Massimo caught the falling rifle before it hit the floor. Another shadow appeared behind him. Gunfire erupted. Massimo fired first. The man dropped, but not before squeezing off a round. Pain exploded through Massimo's shoulder. Blood soaked his shirt. His jaw clenched. He kept moving. Near the fireplace, Alina heard everything. The shots, the shouting, the bodies hitting the floor, the violence. And despite everything, she was terrified for him. The realization horrified her because she hated him, didn't she? Wasn't she supposed to? Wasn't this the man responsible for her father's death? For her imprisonment? For her child? Then why did the thought of him bleeding make her chest hurt? A sudden crash interrupted her thoughts. A window shattered beside her. An assassin climbed inside. Alina froze. The man saw her instantly. A cruel smile spread across his face. There you are. Her blood turned to ice. The killer raised his weapon. Alina couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. This was it. This was how she died. A gunshot thundered through the room. The assassin dropped, dead before he hit the ground. Massimo stood behind him, blood covering his shirt, his face pale, his breathing uneven. But his weapon remained steady. The sight of him nearly broke something inside her, because he looked exhausted, broken. Yet he had crossed an entire room while wounded, just to save her. Again. The attack continued for another 20 minutes. Then suddenly, silence. No more gunfire. No more footsteps. Nothing. Only rain. Only darkness. Only the sound of both of them breathing. Massimo checked the windows, the doors, the perimeter, then finally lowered his weapon. They're gone. The relief lasted less than a minute. Massimo took one step, then another, then collapsed. Alina's heart stopped. Massimo! He hit the floor hard. Blood spread beneath him. Far more blood than she had realized. The shoulder wound, a wound in his side, another along his ribs. He had kept fighting through all of it. For a second, Alina just stared, frozen, conflicted. Then instinct took over. She dropped beside him. Massimo! His eyes opened slightly. Damn. Even now, he sounded annoyed. She almost laughed, almost cried. Instead, she pressed her hands against the wound. Blood immediately soaked her fingers. Stay awake. I'm trying. His voice was weak, far weaker than she'd ever heard. Fear twisted inside her chest. Hours later, the storm finally began to calm. The cabin remained dark. The generator had been destroyed. The only light came from candles. Massimo lay unconscious on the couch, bandaged, breathing, alive, barely. Alina sat beside him, watching, waiting, thinking. She remembered the hospital, the white sheets. She remembered waking up alone. Remembered realizing the child she'd secretly loved was never coming back. Remembered blaming Massimo, hating him, wanting him to suffer. And he had suffered, every day since. She could see it now. Not because he deserved forgiveness. He didn't. But because guilt had been eating him alive. Near dawn, his eyes opened. Slowly, painfully. The first thing he saw was her, still there. Massimo frowned. You should sleep. Alina stared at him, then shook her head. You almost died. A strange silence followed. Neither knew what to do with that truth. Finally, Massimo spoke. Why are you still here? The question surprised her. So that's what you're wondering? Yes. His voice was quiet. You could have left. She could have. The assassins were gone. He was injured. She could have disappeared, never looked back, never seen him again. Yet she hadn't, and she hated not knowing why. Before she could answer, a phone vibrated. Massimo reached for it, read the message, then went completely still. The color drained from his face. Alina immediately noticed. What is it? Massimo looked up slowly. The expression in his eyes frightened her, because it wasn't anger, it wasn't fear, it was shock. Pure shock. The message contained a single photograph, nothing more. No explanation. No words. Just a photograph. Massimo handed her the phone. Alina looked. And the world stopped, because the woman standing beside Vittorio Bellana wasn't a stranger. She recognized her instantly. The face, the smile, the eyes. She had seen that woman before, many times, everywhere. Family photos, childhood memories, birthdays, Christmas, school graduations. The woman beside Bellini was her mother, And judging from the photograph, they knew each other very well. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Alina simply stared at the photograph. Her hands began to shake. No. The word came out as a whisper. No. Massimo remained silent. The photograph was old, at least 25 years old, but there was no mistake. The woman standing beside Vittorio Bellini was unmistakably her mother, younger, smiling, one arm resting comfortably on Bellini's shoulder. Not strangers, not acquaintances, people who knew each other well, very well. This is fake, Alina's voice cracked. It has to be. Massimo wished it was, but the investigator who had sent the photograph was one of the few people he trusted completely. The evidence was real, painfully real. I don't think it is. Alina stood abruptly. No. Her breathing became uneven. My mother has never met Bellini. Massimo said nothing, because deep down, they both knew she couldn't possibly know that for certain. Not really. Not about a photograph taken decades before she was born. The cabin suddenly felt too small, too quiet, too cold. Alina began pacing, her mind racing through memories. Family gatherings, childhood stories, conversations with her father. Nothing. No mention of Bellini, no mention of Italy, no mention of any connection whatsoever. So why was her mother standing beside the man responsible for destroying both their lives? Massimo's phone rang. His investigator. He answered immediately. Talk. The response came quickly. We found more. Massimo's expression darkened. What? The woman in the photograph. A pause. Then, her name before marriage wasn't Grace Russo. Alina froze. Massimo slowly looked at her. The investigator continued. Her birth records show a different surname. Silence. What surname? Massimo asked. The answer hit like a bomb. Bellini. My mother, her voice barely existed. Was a Bellini? Massimo ended the call. The silence afterward felt deafening. Finally, he nodded. Slowly, reluctantly. Looks like it. Alina felt sick, because there was only one explanation. One terrifying explanation. Vittorio Bellini wasn't just connected to her mother, he was family. No, she backed away. No, no, no. Tears blurred her vision, because if Bellini was family, then everything she believed about her life might be a lie. Every memory, every story, every truth. Massimo watched her carefully, then spoke quietly. How old were you when your father died? Alina frowned. What? Answer me. She swallowed. 23. Massimo nodded. And before his arrest? She blinked. What about before? Did your parents ever fight? The question felt strange, random, yet somehow important. Alina searched her memory, then froze, because she remembered something she hadn't thought about in years. She was 12. Her parents were arguing downstairs, loudly, violently, her father shouting, her mother crying, and one sentence she had never forgotten, even after all these years. You should have told her the truth. Her father's voice, furious, broken, desperate. And her mother's reply, a reply that made no sense at the time, but suddenly meant everything. If she knows who her real family is, they'll take her. Alina's blood turned cold. Massimo saw it happen. The realization, the horror, the memory returning. What? She looked at him, pale, terrified. I think, her voice trembled, I think my father knew. Silence. Heavy. Terrible. Massimo felt a knot form in his stomach, because suddenly another possibility appeared, a possibility neither of them had considered. What if Antonio Russo hadn't merely been framed? What if he'd spent years protecting someone? Protecting Alina. Protecting her from Bellini. The implications were horrifying, because if that was true, then Bellini might not have tried killing Alina because she was digging into Sophia's death. He may have wanted her dead for a completely different reason. Massimo immediately called the investigator back. Find out exactly how Grace Bellini became Grace Russo. Already working on it. And Bellini? A pause. Then, boss, there's something else. Massimo's voice hardened. What? The investigator hesitated, which almost never happened. Bellini's private security team moved this morning. Massimo frowned. Where? Silence. Then, Italy. The room went still. Massimo slowly rose to his feet, ignoring the pain from his wounds, ignoring everything. Italy? Yes. A pause. We think he's heading for Sicily. Alina's heart nearly stopped because her mother was in Sicily. Massimo's voice became deadly calm. When, though? They landed 6 horse ago. 6 horse, 6 hours. Alina felt panic flood her body. No. Massimo grabbed his coat. We're leaving. What? Now. The assassins are... I don't care. His eyes met hers, and for the first time since she'd known him, she saw genuine fear, not fear for himself, fear for her, fear for her family. Because suddenly the truth became terrifyingly clear. Bellini wasn't hunting Alina anymore. Not directly. He'd changed tactics. He was going after the people she loved. And if they were right, if her mother, Troika the secret behind Bellini's by then Russo might already be in terrible danger. As dawn broke over the mountains, Massimo and Alina climbed into the SUV. The cabin disappeared behind them. The road stretched ahead, toward airports, toward Sicily, toward answers. And somewhere in Italy, a black sedan slowly pulled up outside Grace Russo's house. A suited man stepped out. He looked at the family home, then reached inside his jacket and smiled. The black sedan stopped across the street from Grace Russo's house. The engine remained running, silent, patient, waiting. Inside the vehicle, the suited man adjusted his gloves and stared at the small villa through tinted windows. The house looked ordinary, peaceful, a place where families gathered for Sunday lunches and children grew up believing the world was safe. But the man knew better, because inside that house lived a woman carrying secrets powerful enough to destroy Vittorio Bellini. And Vittorio Bellini never left loose ends alive. Meanwhile, Massimo and Alina were still hours away. The private jet cut through the morning sky. Neither of them had slept. Neither of them could. Too much had happened. Too many lies. Too many questions. Too much fear. Alina sat beside the window, staring at the clouds. Her thoughts were trapped in a single sentence. If she knows who her real family is, they'll take her. The memory replayed endlessly, over and over, like a nightmare. Massimo watched her quietly. You should try to rest. She laughed bitterly. How? He had no answer, because he couldn't rest either. Not while Bellini was moving. Not while Grace Russo might already be in danger. Not while the woman sitting beside him could be walking toward a truth capable of destroying her entire identity. 3 hours later, Sicily. The jet landed. Massimo's security team was already waiting. 2 armored SUVs, 6 armed men, all trusted, all loyal, all prepared for war, because if Bellini was involved, war was exactly what this was becoming. The convoy sped through winding roads toward the Rouge Estate. Alia's Angiti grow weave every buzzing minute. She hadn't seen her family in months. Normally, she would have been excited, happy. Now, she felt only dread. What if they were too late? Finally, the gates appeared. Massive iron gates surrounded by stone walls. The estate looked exactly as she remembered. For one brief second, relief flooded her chest. Everything looked normal. Everything looked safe. Then she noticed the front door hanging open. Her heart stopped. Mom? Massimo saw it too. His expression hardened instantly. Move. The SUVs screeched to a halt. Security poured out, weapons drawn, scanning every angle, every window, every entrance. Alina ran before anyone could stop her. Alina! Massimo cursed and chased after her. She burst through the front door, silence. The house was empty. Too empty. A chair overturned near the dining room, broken glass on the floor, a lamp smashed against the wall, signs of a struggle. Fear exploded inside her. Mom! No answer. Marco! Nothing. Lucia! Silence. Massimo entered seconds later. One look around told him everything. Someone had been here. Recently. Violently. Then one of his men appeared from the hallway. Boss. Massimo turned. The man's face was grim. Very grim. He was holding something. An envelope. Massimo already knew who it was from. The elegant handwriting confirmed it. Vittorio Bellini. Alina's hands shook. Open it! Massimo tore the envelope apart. Inside was a single piece of paper. One sentence, only one. You should have stayed dead. The room went silent. Alina felt sick, because Bellini had taken them. Her family, her mother, maybe her brothers, too. And he had done it because of her. No! Her knees nearly gave out. Massimo caught her before she hit the floor. For a moment she didn't fight him, didn't pull away, didn't care. They're gone. Tears filled her eyes. They're gone because of me. Massimo's jaw tightened. No. She looked at him. Broken. What? This is Bellini. His voice was ice. Not you. For the first time in months, his anger wasn't directed at her. It wasn't directed at the Russos. It wasn't directed at himself. It was directed at the man who had orchestrated every tragedy from the shadows. Bellini. Suddenly, another voice interrupted. Boss! One of the security men sprinted into the room, breathing hard, holding a phone. We found something. Massimo immediately turned. What? The basement. Silence. Alina frowned. What basement? The guard swallowed. There wasn't one listed on the property's original plans. Massimo's instincts activated instantly. What did you find? The guard hesitated, then answered. Old records. A pause. And photographs. Another pause. Thousands of them. Massimo and Alina exchanged a look. Minutes later they descended beneath the house, past a hidden door concealed behind a bookshelf, past a narrow staircase, into a room neither of them knew existed. The basement looked untouched by time. Dust covered everything. Old filing cabinets lined the walls. Boxes stacked from floor to ceiling. Photographs. Documents. Letters. And in the center of the room, a large wooden table, covered with pictures of Alina. From childhood, from school, from birthdays, from graduations, from every stage of her life. She stared, confused, terrified. Then she saw another photograph, a younger version of her mother, standing beside Vittorio Bellini, holding a baby, Alina. The room spun. No! Massimo picked up another photograph, then another, each one revealing the same impossible truth. Bellini hadn't recently become interested in Alina. He had been watching her entire life, and suddenly Massimo understood something horrifying, something worse than anything they'd discovered so far. Bellini didn't want Alina dead because she knew too much. He wanted her dead because she was connected to him, directly, personally. Family. A realization that chilled the row, for the Alia Nochidon Vigil Dogfo Ligar, the sender of the table. A birth certificate. Folded, yellowed with age. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. Massimo watched her unfold it, watched the color drain from her face, watched her stop breathing. Because under the section marked father's name, there was only one name, Vittorio Bellini. The paper slipped from her fingers, and somewhere far away, a phone began to ring. The paper slipped from Alina's trembling fingers. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The basement felt impossibly small, too small for the truth sitting between them, too small for the storm suddenly tearing through Alina's chest. No, her voice cracked. No. Massimo picked up the birth certificate from the floor. His eyes moved across the document again, and again, as if reading it multiple times might somehow change the words. It didn't. The name remained exactly where it had been seconds ago. Vittorio Bellini. Father. Alina shook her head violently. This is fake. Massimo looked at her. It could be. It has to be. Her voice rose, desperate, almost pleading. My mother would never... She stopped, because suddenly she wasn't sure. Not because Grace Russo was a liar, but because Grace Russo had spent Alina's entire life hiding things, protecting things, avoiding certain conversations, especially whenever Vittorio Bellini's name appeared. Memories surfaced, small moments she had never questioned. Until now, the Stranglau and her mother's way during news interviews involving Bellini, the way she always changed the subject, the way she once told Alina, some powerful people should never be trusted, no matter how charming they seem. At the time, she'd assumed it was general advice. Now, she wasn't so sure. Massimo continued examining the basement. The walls were covered with photographs, hundreds, maybe thousands, every stage of Alina's life, every birthday, every graduation, every school event. Someone had been watching her for years. The realization made her skin crawl. Why? Massimo's voice was quiet. What? Why would Bellini keep all this? He gestured around the room. If he wanted you dead, why spend decades tracking your life? Neither of them had an answer. Then one of Massimo's men appeared at the staircase. Boss? Massimo turned. The guard looked pale, very pale. What is it? We found a recording. Silence. Massimo frowned. A recording? The guard nodded. An old cassette tape. Alina stared. A cassette? The guard held up a small dusty tape recorder. It looked ancient, forgotten, hidden for years. Written across the cassette in faded ink were 3 words. For Alina. The room froze. Alina's pulse thundered. Because suddenly this wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. Whoever hid this basement had intended for her to find it. Eventually. Massimo inserted the cassette. The machine cleared, wiry, steady viled the root. Woo there a woo-woo's voice emerged, soft, shaking, familiar. Alina froze. It was her mother. Alina! The recording crackled. If you're hearing this, then something has gone terribly wrong. Tears immediately filled Alina's eyes. Mom, the voice continued. I prayed you would never find this room. A pause, heavy breathing, fear, real fear. If you've found it, then Vittorio has finally come for us. Massimo's expression darkened. The tape continued. There are things I never told you. Alina closed her eyes. Because she already knew what was coming. There are secrets about your birth. Silence filled the basement. Then Grace Russo spoke the words that shattered everything. Vo andodio rujo is your vather. Oh, Ellie's eyes snapped open. Massimo stared at the recorder. The birth certificate, the photographs, the years of surveillance. None of it matched. Then why does the document say Bellini? Alina whispered. The recording answered, as though Grace had heard her question across time. Because Vittorio changed it. A long pause. He became obsessed after you were born. The room fell silent. He wanted a family. Another pause. And when I refused him, Grace's voice broke. He threatened to destroy ours. Alina felt cold. Ice cold. Massimo's hands slowly clenched into fists. The tape crackled again. You're hearing this, then Vittorio has probably taken me. Alina stopped breathing. No. Listen carefully, sweetheart. Grace sounded terrified. There is one thing Vittorio wants more than power. A pause. Something he's been searching for since Sofia Bellini died. Massimo suddenly looked up. Sofia. His sister. The room became still. Grace's voice lowered to almost a whisper. Sofia discovered something before she was murdered. Massimo's heart stopped. Something Vittorio would kill anyone to protect. The tape crackled violently. Static. Then came shouting, a crash, a scream, and Grace Russo's terrified voice. No, get away from... The recording abruptly ended. Silence. Absolute silence. Alina stared at the tape recorder, frozen. Massimo stared at it too, but his thoughts were elsewhere, one sentence echoing through his mind, over and over. Sophia discovered something before she died, which meant Sophia hadn't been killed just because she was inconvenient. She had uncovered a secret powerful enough to trigger everything that followed. Her murder, Antonio's imprisonment, Alina's suffering, the assassination attempts, the kidnapping, everything. Then Massimo's phone rang. Unknown number. The room went still. He answered. Slowly, carefully. A familiar voice greeted him. Smooth, calm, dangerous. Vittorio Bellini. Massimo. Massimo's eyes darkened. What do you want? A soft chuckle. I believe I have something that belongs to both of you. Alina immediately knew. Her mother. Touch her and I'll kill you. Massimo's voice was lethal. Bellini laughed. You'll have to find me first. A pause. Then Bellini said the one thing neither of them expected. Bring Alina. Silence. Because, whether she knows it or not, another pause. She's the key to everything. The line went dead, and suddenly the hunt became personal.